So today we are going to go over the Rocks and Minerals Lab, or the Mineral Identification Lab. You should have either printed the Mineral Identification Lab and the observation sheet. You should either have it printed, or you should have a piece of paper for you to print your results on, or you can even have it open on your computer. I have mine open on the computer. At least I will. All right, so I turned it into a Word document for you, okay? So I'm going to have my data collection sheet there. Now, I also have other materials. I have my Advanced Rocks and Minerals kit, which comes with the K-12 curriculum. You've got that. I have a magnifying glass. This also comes with your materials. I have an eyedropper. I'm just using something that I used to give my children Tylenol with. It's fine. This packet does not come with a porcelain streak plate, unfortunately. I have a piece of porcelain, like a porcelain dish, and as you can see, I've been using this for years as a streak plate, the underside, and so that's what I use for a streak plate. I guess if you don't have a piece of porcelain, then that's going to be something that I guess you're going to have to miss out on, because I can't really give you any anything else. But if you have something that's a porcelain piece of a plate or something, and you can use, and this would wash off. I just haven't washed it off apparently. I've been using that for years. I've got white vinegar, and I believe that's it. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? And I don't have this, but I will get this. I need an iron nail and a copper penny, and I do have that. So I'll grab that in a second once I get started. All right, so we've already learned that minerals are the basic building blocks of the Earth's surface. You've learned that already. Scientists use several different ways to classify minerals, and we'll talk about that. So you are going to have to do every part of this lab. When you first open up this lab document, what you're going to see, and okay, it's right here, okay? So if you want to have it open on your computer and not print out a copy, that's fine. You're going to notice from the video that you're going to identify your rocks and minerals by the color, luster, cleavage, hardness, and streak. Okay? You're going to create a hypothesis. So it says, before you conduct this scientific test, you should think about what you predict will happen. Take a few minutes now to observe samples 7, 13, 23, 25, and 27. Sample 26 is going to be a video lesson in that, or a video sample. There is a sample 26 in your kit. This is not the one you're going to use, though. That's confusing. I don't know why they give you a 26 and then give you another 26. I kind of wish they had called it sample 36 or 37, and that would have made a little bit more sense. That didn't happen. So forget about this sample 26 that you can hold in your hand. You're using sample 26 on the computer, okay, on the online school. All right, so let's get out our samples. So you're going to be identifying sample 7. I'll pull that out. Sample 13, and those happen to be two of my lucky numbers, 7 and 13. Imagine that. 13. Sample, I should have my glasses. This one, I like this one. 23. You can see. And you should be looking at yours too, because this is something you want to touch this lab. I mean, we send you this great Rocks and Minerals kit for a reason. So make sure you take it out. Sample 25. Is this 25? No, it's 24. Oh, it's 25. I know what this is. And this one's a tricky one. This one doesn't always work the way it's supposed to work. Sample 26 I told you about, and then sample 27. Now hopefully you all have this same Rocks and Minerals kit. I actually ordered this Earth Science again because my Rocks and Minerals kit has always been different from yours. Hopefully we all have the same kit this year, and this would be the first time that's happened. Alright, so, and it says that you have a streak plate, yet I don't. And it always says that that's a supplied material, but I just don't have it. So, I don't know, unless you've gotten it. If you got it, great. All right, now, safety stop. We're not going to be breaking any of the pieces to check for cleavage or fracture, so I don't see any reason why you need to wear protective eye gear. But if you do feel that you need it, then obviously you should not be breaking any of these. That's why sample 26 is done for you. Okay. So now, you're going to watch the video on the online school called Testing the Unknown Mineral. So you're going to observe the color of sample 26. You're going to observe the streak. So they're going to scratch it against a streak plate, a porcelain plate. You're going to observe whether it has cleavage or fracture. And sample 26, you'll see, has cleavage. So cleavage is where it breaks along a flat plane. And this is going to be a great example of cleavage, because this one will just peel right off on a flat plane. Now, other minerals, where you look at where there's areas that are broken, you'll see it's kind of jagged and ripply. It's not a flat plane. So that's going to be a mineral that fractures. That doesn't have cleavage, okay? And then the hardness. Okay, so there is a hardness scale here, and one on the hardness scale is talc. And talc is, I believe, I shouldn't even have to look, but I believe this is talc. Sample 31, talc? No. No, that's talc. Well, maybe it's not. Do you have talc here? Talc is basically super light. It's something you can, and this says it's mudstone. So this you can scratch with your fingernail. Okay, so this is light. So think of chalk. That's another one. It's very soft. Okay, you can scratch it with your fingernail. Number 2 on the hardness scale, as you'll see, is your fingernail. Can you scratch it? Number 3 is a copper penny. So you should have a copper penny, and you're going to be scratching your minerals to see if either the penny scratches your mineral or the mineral scratches the penny. You are going to have an iron nail, and again, same thing. You're going to see if the nail scratches your mineral. If the nail scratches your mineral, then you know that the mineral is softer than the nail. However, if the mineral can scratch the nail, then vice versa. The mineral is harder, okay? So that's an iron nail. Glass. You can have a piece of glass. I don't have a piece of glass, but again, you can test that. Your streak plate. So if the mineral comes off on the streak plate, which I think this one, 25, will, it does. It writes like chalk. Okay, so that means my streak plate is harder than my mineral. Okay? Quartz, and again, you have quartz, so you can use that as a hardness, and a diamond. And don't scratch your diamonds. I mean, you probably won't. There isn't anything I think that we have that's going to scratch a diamond, but don't bring diamonds into this. All right, no reason. Everything's going to be softer than the quartz. All right, so you're going to have everything out, and you're going to try to scratch the sample with your fingernail first, and then you're going to move up. Each time you're going to go to the copper penny, the iron nail, the glass, streak plate, and quartz if you have to. You're going to then, for some of them, you're going to check, or actually for all of them you're going to check for magnetism, okay? Does it have a magnetic pull? If you get a magnet from your refrigerator and try to pull on it or to pick it up, is it going to pull? Now, one of the things with the magnetism, I like to scratch the pieces off, and you'll see that. I like to scratch the pieces off because sometimes you can't get an object that is just going to stick to your mineral, or the mineral is not going to just stick to the magnet just in and of itself because maybe the magnet isn't strong enough. But if you scratch it off and get it into a powdery form, you're going to have a little bit better luck. And that's funny with these rocks and minerals. It's not something that you get every time. And then you're going to check the fizz test. Again, you're going to scratch those samples off with a nail so that you get a little bit of chalky material on your mineral. Then you're going to put the eyedropper with the vinegar and see if it fizzes. Okay, if it fizzes, then you'll know. And again, these are all properties that are very specific to different minerals. So this is going to help you to figure out what mineral it is. And then luster. Luster, either it has a metallic look or it does not have a metallic look. The mineral number 26 that you'll see in the video, or that you've seen in the video, that has a metallic luster. Okay? This flat yellow, chalky looking one does not have a metallic. This has a non-metallic luster, okay? All right, so you're going to repeat all of the observations for all of these minerals. And then you're going to analyze it. So you have the mineral identification key, okay? You're going to plug in the color, the streak, cleavage or fracture, hardness, luster, and other special properties. So that would be if it's metallic, does it have a certain smell? And then you're going to plug everything in. You have a mineral identification key that's going to help you to figure out which sample is which mineral. Okay, and that's it. You're going to write samples 7, 13, 23, 25, 26, 27. You're going to identify them. And then at the end, there's 3 questions at the end. Give 2 examples of minerals that have a property in common. Could you have identified any of the minerals after having described only a few rather than all of the properties you've tested? And then give an example. If so, then how? How could you have identified it with only a few of the properties? Okay? And third, why is it still a good idea to test more properties than might be necessary? Which I think that third question kind of helps to answer question number 2. And that's it. That's the end. That's all you need to do. So let's get started. Okay, so you should have watched the video for sample 26. So now you have an idea as to that mineral's color, streak, cleavage or fracture, which again, they clearly had cleavage, hardness, luster, and they didn't do the magnet test or the fizz test. Okay, so let's go to the next sample. So number 7, sample 7. Okay, so look at yours. Now I have a different students from last year's lab sheet open because I wanted to see in comparison my sample versus this person's sample. Now mine actually his says white and orange. Mine actually has white and like a yellowish more color to it. It's primarily white, but so take a look at your number 7. Tell me what your number 7 looks like. Okay, that's what I want to know. Next, I'm going to take my streak plate. I'm going to take my mineral and I'm going to scratch it. This does not have a streak, okay? Does this have cleavage or fracture? I can look at this and look at the planes to see that there is not an even plane anywhere. I can see that it's very jagged and rugged and rough. And so this does not have cleavage, okay? This has fracture. When this is broken, okay, it's got fracture. It's got jagged edges, okay? Next, I need to test the hardness. So now I am going to go ahead and let me get my hardness scale out here. All right. So again, actually, I know that it does not streak because I already tried that. So it's not streaking on my streak plate. So I know that this is harder than the streak plate. Okay, so I don't need to go back. Okay? That's something that you want to think about. All right, so now let me get a piece of quartz because that's the next thing up. Number 7. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. This is quartz. Not very good. So the hardness would be 7 because that's what quartz is on the hardness scale. I don't seem to remember that being the case last year where they actually had quartz as number 7. All right, so there you have it. All right, number 7. Let's move on to number 13. Okay, obviously we've got a white mineral, okay? Streak. Doesn't have a streak, and it's tough because this is a white streak plate. So let's see. Oh yeah, no, it definitely does. It's kind of got a white powdery streak, okay? You're not going to be able to see it on the video, but if you have a porcelain plate at home, try it, and you'll get to see. Okay, it's not quite like chalk, but it's certainly a white powdery streak. So it's softer than the streak plate, so it's got a hardness of less than 6, okay? All right, So cleavage, if I look at this, it's got cleavage, okay? It's got flat planes, and I know if I break this, it's going to break into flat planes. I can see that. And when you look at your sample, you'll see exactly what I mean. All right, so now we've got to figure out the hardness of this mineral. Let me go back to my hardness scale here. All right, so let's try an iron nail. Okay, an iron nail scratches it, so it's softer than an iron nail. Let's try a penny, a copper penny. Now, I don't believe the penny is scratching it. Let me see if it can scratch the penny. Oh yeah, I believe this can definitely scratch the, yes. I don't know if you'll get to see that, but this definitely scratched my penny. Okay, so it's got a hardness between a 3 and a 4, okay, because a penny is a 3 and iron nail is a 4. So it's somewhere, so let's say it's a 3.5. So write that down. This one's got sample 13 has a hardness of approximately 3.5. Okay, let's find the next property. All right, luster. Does it have a metallic or a non-metallic luster? You look at it. And you tell me, is it metallic or non-metallic? Okay. Magnet test attractive. Let's see. Remember I said I'd like to kind of scrape it up a little bit. So I'm going to scratch this thing up a little bit. And I am. I'm going to scratch it up so I get some powdery material. Okay. So now I've got some powdery material. I want to see if that becomes attracted to the magnet. No, not at all. But again, now the same thing I want to do, I want to see if that becomes, if that has, I'm going to do the fizz test and see if that fizzes up when it comes into contact with white vinegar. Okay, so I've got my powdery stuff on my plate. And look at that, it fizzes. Okay, so you want to see this for yourself, okay? You want to definitely do this test for yourself. So this one does fizz. All right. That's it. Write down your observations for sample 13. All right, sample 23, color. Now this student has a different color than mine. So you look at your sample 23 and tell me what color you think that one is, okay? So streak. Oh, this is so fragile. I'm having a hard time getting a streak off of this, and I'm surprised that the student has a streak on theirs. So I'm kind of interested in that one. This one, see if yours has a streak, okay? Mine really doesn't. Mine's very thin and fragile, though. Now, as far as cleavage and fracture, you tell me what you think. I mean, I think this is very clearly has either cleavage or fracture, and I want you to tell me what you think. All right, hardness. I mean, this, you can tell, is a very soft, fragile. So I'm going to start with my fingernail right here. Oof. And my fingernail can scratch this. Luster, does it have a metallic or a non-metallic look to it? Magnet tested. Test it with your magnet. And fizz test with the bubbles. I'll let you do the fizz test with the bubbles. No, I'll do the fizz test with the bubbles. I can't scrape off any, I can't scrape off any powder, but I'll tell you right now, it does not fizz when it comes into contact with vinegar. Okay, so you have to look at these properties, write them down on your lab table, and tell me what mineral this is. 25. This is an interesting one, because this does have an interesting property, and we'll see if it works out for us or not, because it doesn't always work. What color is this? Mine is kind of like a rusty orange. This student put rusty red. Okay, so that's up to you. Streak. Take your streak plate. Yes, and you can see that's all from the same mineral from different years. This is the streak. So it does have a streak. And what does it look like? Mine is like, or you could say a rusty orange, rusty red he put, maybe brown. Tell me what your streak is. And I'll tell you, this mineral, some of you might have one that looks different. It might not be quite this color, so that's an interesting thing too. Fracture, does it have fracture or cleavage? There are, again, I'm not going to break my mineral, but I can look at this and just through observation say that this is going to have fracture, not cleavage. This is going to break, if I took a hammer to break it, it would not break along flat, smooth plane. So that means that it has fracture, not cleavage. All right, now we have to test the hardness of this, okay? So let's start with my fingernail, and I don't want to break my fingernail on this. I'll tell you that it's harder than my fingernail, okay? So let's figure out what, let's do a copper penny. Because I know fingernails too. I'm not going to scratch, I know it's harder than my fingernail. Let's see if it scratches a copper penny or if a copper, when I scratch it against the copper penny, the powder comes off onto the penny. So that means that this is softer than a copper penny, but it's harder than my fingernail. Okay, so it is about 2.5. Okay, now this student says 3.5. So let's see what yours does. I mean, mine broke on the copper penny. So that's kind of interesting because this student has a different hardness. So see what yours is. But mine is more around 2.5. Now, interesting here. So let's do this and see how this works. I want to see if this is magnetic. So I'm going to scratch. Okay. Oh, and I'm sorry. Luster. Is it metallic or non-metallic? All right. So I've broken some pieces off. I'm going to do a magnet test with the powder. Now, when I break it into the powder, it sticks to my magnet, but not very much. So this isn't a great sample of this, but I'm going to tell you right now, it should be metallic. Okay, and it does. It very slightly sticks. But when I go like this, it won't stick to my magnet, okay? This is a mineral that is magnetic. I'll tell you that right now. And like I said, it very, very slightly sticks, not a lot, okay? So, but I'm going to tell you, it is magnetic, okay? So then sample 26 is the one that we saw on the video. And sample 27, very easy to tell me the color. This student, for the streak, says it's glow-in-the-dark yellow. And I see what he's talking about there. All right. Hardness. Oh, fracture. This has fracture. It just crumples. Okay? Hardness. Is it harder than my nail? Or is my nail harder than it? My nail is harder than this, so it's less than 2. What is it metallic? What's the luster? Is it metallic or non-metallic? And then does it pass the fizz test, and is it magnetic? And again, you're going to do that the same way. And I'm not going to tell you what that is. You do that, scratch it, do the magnet test, and that is basically it. These are the samples that you're going to be working with. Let's see, 27, 26, 25. Where did I put 25? I'm going to put my samples back where they belong, okay? And then I'm going to finish my lab. I'm going to compare all of my data with the mineral identification table, and I'm going to figure out what minerals I have, what they are, okay, based on what I have here on the mineral identification table. So I hope that helps you out. And if you have any questions, shoot me an email. But this is really something that is fun to do, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it makes a little bit more sense.